Hey guys, I want to talk about this wall that I got up here showing some of my memories and some of the great people I've met along the way. Right here is supposed to be Soka Riedner. Last time I was up there, I dropped that off and I apologize. I'll get a new frame and get him up there, but that's Soka Riedner. We've got Jim Thomas. Let's see if I can get a good picture there. We got Robert Bowles. Then the next one right there, we've got Mr. Bethea, myself, my father, and Ken Gillenwater. I like to post that for my Father's Day picture. I consider those three people huge role models in my life growing up, and wouldn't be where I am now without all three of them. Not just my father, not just Mr. Gillenwater, but Mr. Bethea as well. Where are we at? Now we got Steve Van Camp. Steve Van Camp, Mr. Gillenwater's American instructor. When his instructor moved out to California, Mr. Gillenwater earned some rank through him, and then after reconnecting back with Master Byung, got back with the Kukiwan through Master Byung. Fumio Demura right here. We got to meet him at a seminar. Mr. Stefan and I had some great battles coming up. I think he got the best of me on most of them, but I remember winning a few, and those are some of my pride and joy times. Mr. Witherspoon coming out of New Haven. That's our entire group with Fumio Demura. We got Kevin Fouts, Mr. Robinson, Kate Bond, and Danielle Bond with us. Then we have Mr. Waldron. Some of you know him as Bob. He is not Bob to me. He is Mr. Waldron. If I would have called him Bob back in the 90s when I met him, I'd still be doing push-ups today. Beneath him, Mr. Marshall, I met him when Mr. Superfoot Wallace was supposed to do a demo, and Hurricane Matthew came into town, so he wasn't able to leave Florida. And Mr. Marshall reached out. He thought I was somebody else. He thought he knew me. I'd never met him in my life, and neither he never met me. But it worked out, and we had a great friendship. He was out of Michigan, now he's out of the Carolinas, and he still comes up for our karate camps. Great friend. Then, of course, we got Superfoot Wallace. Met him at a seminar. Also brought him up from Florida for a seminar. Mr. Ramel became a great friend of ours, and he's out of Rockford, Ohio. So Fred Walliser, great role model. AMTA leader and just a great person. My wife and I at the Hall of Fame down in Missouri. That was one of the first few years that I was taking over for Mr. Gillenwater. Learned a lot from that, and just a good experience, we'll call it. Then we have Mr. Maxon. Mr. Maxon, I haven't seen him for a few years. They focus a lot on self-defense. Haven't made time for tournament practice, but I would consider a good friend. We've missed him a lot. Mr. Bello, one of the best sparrers I know. Taught me a lot of things, taught us a lot of things, came to our class. We see differently eye to eye on some things, but when it comes down to martial artists, he is a top-notch competitor. Top-notch competitor. John Manley right here. One of my idols growing up. Lowest horse stances I've seen. Wow is all I say. So he taught us that show a judge something that he or she cannot do, and that will probably give you bonus points. So some people that get out there and do an ordinary form, that's no big deal. But you get out there and do horse stances that judges can't do, well, your scores go up. Tom Cleaver, this was when he won our grand champion at, this was the one in Rochester. I think he won another one, but Tom Cleaver, another one growing up, just holy cow on competitive and his ability, and look up to him greatly. Up top, we have Mr. Snowberger and Mr. Rick Johnson. That was at Mr. Johnson's black belt promotion. I got invited to that tea ceremony and loved the experience. Never had been to one before, and very thankful for all the time that I got to spend with Mr. Johnson and, of course, Mr. Snowberger. Mr. Charlie Van Heldorf, have a super fantastic day as always. This is with him in full beard. That was at the Superfoot seminar. Charlie's been a great friend and a role model, being able to be competing at 80. Boy, I hope to be able to do that. Mr. Fedinger, also haven't seen him for a long time, out of Huntington. Great martial artist, posts stuff on I think it's Snapchat or TikTok, and I love watching his stuff. Great person, great person. That all these people I've met, most of them through tournaments, and how do you put a value on it? Don Matthews, great competitor, or great person. I don't think I've got to see him compete much. I got to see him do some stuff with Superfoot at a demonstration, and seems to be pretty knowledgeable and been a great friend. Always brightens up the room when he walks in. Mike Cintron, I met him over in where were we at? Cleveland tournament. He and I sparred. Holy cow! I thought he was about 5 inches taller than he actually is, because he was a giant. And he has a great ridge hand. I got to watch his first sparring match, and I think he got 4 out of the 5 points with a ridge hand. So when I sparred him, I just put my hand up outside the normal area, letting him know that I knew that the ridge hand was coming. So I think he had to change up his game plan. I ended up winning the match, but gaining a friend in that one. So good to have him up there. Mr. Campbell, holy cow, what a help at all our tournaments. He competed earlier this year, and wow, he's still got it, that's for sure. Still got it, and great bank of knowledge up there. Mr. Bethea, I mentioned him before. Mr. Bethea has taught me nearly everything I know about hosting tournaments. Our tournaments continue to grow and grow and grow, so I think he taught me well, and trying to carry on some of the stuff that him and my instructor were doing back in the late 80s, early 90s. We'll move across the top. We've got, where are we at? Jim Snowberger and his son Jimmy Snowberger. Great people. Went to their tournaments for years. Look up to Mr. Snowberger as role model, teacher, mentor, and really relied on him the first few years of me taking over for help. Hey, what do I do here? How can I handle this? And he really helped me with that. Doug Yates, where are we at? Right there. Doug Yates runs the Miami Valley Tournament Association. Great person, great heart. I don't see him as much as I'd really like to, only when we travel down there, but great person, and wish he lived closer, that's for sure. Down here we got, there we go. Oh, Mr. Morrison, Mr. Reverse Punch. But I think I saw him throw a kick at one tournament. I was really surprised. I recorded it and asked if I saw it. But you talk about timing in a reverse punch. Woo! He's got it. Can't stop it almost. Yeah. Really good competitor, great martial artist, and truly nice guy. Mr. Colger, what can we say about Mr. Colger? Great person. Out of Rochester, Taekwondo guy, got me hooked up with Mr. Hernandez as well to help out with promotions. Can't say enough about Mr. Colger. We still meet for lunches at least once a month, and a true friend. Can't beat true friendships. Love those. We've got over on this side, we got my wife at her first yellow belt test. This was BC, before children. So that was at Parker Shelton School. If you guys remember that, in Fort Wayne. That's where she got to do her test at. She was training in North Webster with us, and we did a test there in Fort Wayne. Made it to yellow belt for a little while. Then she got pregnant and kind of took her away. We actually found out she was pregnant at one of our tournaments and didn't spar that day. And it kind of, people started asking, hey, why didn't she spar? Well, that was why. Above that, we have, there we are, Steve Franz. Steve Fran's been a good friend and kind of helps out with suggestions and helping us grow. He's got a lot of great ideas. He's done holding tournaments now, but he held tournaments for a long time, and some of the largest, actually, when he was done holding tournaments, the largest PKC tournaments in the state, and he grew those over time, and with the friendships that he had. Mr. Recupero, this is him at our seminar in, we held him in Warsaw. We did a winter camp. We do a summer camp for all the kids. This was at our winter camp for our adults. Mr. Recupero came and shared some of his knowledge. Great martial artist, great friend, came to our tournaments and helped out. Had some great competitors come from his school, and really miss him. Really miss him. Here we got, where we at? Where's my finger? There we go. Mr. Pratt. Mr. Pratt, very nice guy. Has Braden Dock as a student who is, he's good. Gives my junior black belts a run for their money. Beats them a lot of times, but when my students end up beating him, they feel like they deserve it a little more and earned it more. So that's great. Mr. Pratt actually competed at our last tournament. I don't remember when I've seen him compete last, so that was great to see. Still got it. I think he said 67. So great job, Mr. Pratt. Above that, Mr. Gillenwater. This was at, I'll say, his last tournament. I was holding it, but yeah, more details on that for some reason. But Mr. Gillenwater, he had ALS, and that's one of the reason why I was able to fulfill my lifelong dream to take over the martial arts school, and couldn't be here without him. Couldn't be without him. Then we got Mr. Deshawn. Right there, Mr. Deshawn, he's a student of Matt Steffen. And you talk about dedicated and awesome, and you can't tell it. He probably looks younger than me in that picture, but he is quite a bit a little older. I bet maybe 8 years older than me, but he looks younger than me by far. Then going sideways, we've got Mr. Pranger. Mr. Pranger, we took this picture in New Haven after a tournament, and I ended up putting it on the wall, and then I said, Mr. Pranger, I don't have any colored belts. I don't have any colored belts up on my black belt wall, and I got you up there. And then, wouldn't you know it, he got in that car accident and lost part of his leg. And I thought, you know what? He is a true living legend. Battled through that, continued to gain rank, and never gave up. Woo! Man, Mark Pranger. Can't say enough about him. Loves to see him walk through the door. Then we got Mr. Hitchcock. Mr. Hitchcock, 88 years old. 88 years old, still competing. Woo! Holy cow. And competing well. At 88, I would love to be competing well. He was out of Napanee, passed away earlier this year, and I really miss him. We talk about that with Charlie Van Heldorf over here. Now he's the top dog age-wise, so yeah. Sorry. Over here we got Mr. Krebs. Mr. Krebs, woo! Great friend. Comes out of Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Drives 3 to 3.5 to 4 hours to all of our tournaments and doesn't seem to miss hardly any. True friend. Love seeing him. We talk about his growth in martial arts, not only as school owner, but also with his techniques and all that stuff, coming along and just continuing to improve. Aaron Johnson, let's see if I can get a picture of Aaron Johnson's there. Aaron Johnson, one of probably the best technique-wise person I have met. He can kick straight up. His techniques are crisp and sharp. Sparring, if he wants to kick you with his right leg, he can. Kick you with his left leg, he can. If he wants to kick you in the groin, he can. If he wants to kick you in the head, he can. So he can do it all. Mr. Weinbrenner. Mr. Weinbrenner is who started Mr. Gillenwater with his Jikido, and so which then turned into the Kenji-Ryu Aikijitsu. So very glad to have him in our lives. There were some things that Mr. Gillenwater and him butted heads on, but overall everything turned out awesome, and that's a good thing. So he helped us out with our Aikijitsu, came in and did some seminars to help us grow. Then we had DJ Yates, son of Doug Yates, great martial artist, great competitor out in Ohio in that Xenia area, and got to know him quite a bit through tournaments. Really happy to have met him. I think I skipped over Mr. Fairbanks here. That was at the MVTA banquet. Mr. Fairbanks and I have met, and we got to hang out quite deeply at the USAMA banquet and tournament earlier this year. I got to hear a lot of the stories from the police time and from martial arts time, and just a joy to hang out with him. He comes to our tournaments and helps judge, and so just love to have Mr. Fairbanks up there. Then up top we have Mr. Gillenwater doing the two. We got a toad up over here, but tornado kicks, chopping cucumbers off of swords. And this was him up in the school in the Mishawaka area breaking for a demonstration there. Loved his downward palm strike on those blocks, and even did a sword cutting the cucumbers off people's chest on there. Mr. Kuhn down here. Mr. Kuhn now with Premier. He came up through ranks with us. He actually helped Mr. Gillenwater teach back in the day. Now he's running Premier. I think he's in the Shurin-Ryu system. Some of the students still do some Taekwondo, so hopefully that's trying to keep the lineage going through Mr. Gillenwater. That's what we try to do here. And up top, the picture that's missing, that's my very first introductory class. That was taken at the Lakeland Youth Center back in 1991. I believe July 25th was when I graduated that introductory class that I took there. And then the top ones are the Aikijitsu ranks. The bottom ones are my Taekwondo ranks coming up. The Taekwondo ones went 91 through our 94, and then I started Aikijitsu in late 94, early 95, so they go from 95 through 97, and then we got promoted later on in 98. So that's our black belt wall that I have back here. I have many more pictures of people to place somewhere. We'll have to put it up some. We might have to take down some trophies to make more space. But thank you for all the friendships. It's about the friendships. That's why we love going to tournaments. Without the tournaments, I wouldn't have met 90% of these people. So please keep going to tournaments. Please keep seeing us at tournaments. Please keep inviting us to activities and events. We will go because it's about the friendships formed. All right. Thank you so much.